We will diversify our people by making sure that they understand that there's access and opportunity for all that want it in the city of Pittsburgh.
Welcome to tonight's One Hood Power Hour. We have an extra special episode this evening. We are so excited. I am your co-host, Kahari Mosley, along with my illustrious co-pilot on this mission, Miracle Jones. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So it's a very exciting day. Today we're having a much needed conversation about the future of our region. But before we bring on our history making, guests, we still want to talk about what's happening, in the world and what's going on. We know that we finally have the first round of intensive legislation with the infrastructure bill as a part of a round of negotiations going on between the Biden campaign and some moderates. We have investments for lead, to remove lead from pipes. We have investments to expand some highways and to build up, our digital infrastructure, to make our nation a lot more competitive, a lot safer. Again, a lot of people, are saying this was, a moderate compromise because a lot of the funding was reduced. It wasn't as expansive as the Biden administration had initially requested. But now we turn to look at, the Build Back Better campaign that's still ongoing to see what this administration is going to do, what it's going to provide. We did have an election last week, and a lot of people were saying that because the Democrats were unable to get a lot of legislation passed, that may have impacted some of these races because people didn't have anything to, to tout to run on. So we're going to see if, as we move to some really, intentional races from the governor to the Senate next year, what the Biden administration, is going to do in regards of legislation to make sure that they're able to get over a traditionally negative, midterm election season.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the big news. The bipartisan infrastructure bill has been the big news, and like you said, in the coming weeks, they look to address the Build Back Better bill, which is the legislation that focuses on, child care, that focuses, on what they call the human infrastructure, paid leave. A lot of that is in there. Child tax credits and things like that are in the bill. Very popular, when polled, but has faced the uphill battle in the Capitol. So Miracle, let's talk a little bit about will be joining us tonight. Before we jump into our guests, Miracle, do you have just a few words about our two guests this evening?
So we know that, again, one election doesn't change the course and trajectory of, and upend a whole system of oppression and violence. But we do understand that each election gives us tools, opportunities, and resources to make changes and build power within our lives and find allies so that we can push for better legislation and systemic changes. And two of these individuals who were elected in this historic election last Tuesday, Representative, Ed Gainey, and former school board member Dontae Comans, were elected. Two local individuals who loved their city, came back to stay and work in their cities and boroughs, were elected, by a landslide to usher in what many residents have been hoping and fighting for, are going to be really, really progressive change. Ed Gainey is going to be the first Black mayor of Pittsburgh, and Dontae Comans is going to be one of the youngest Black male mayors that the borough of Wilkinsburg has had. And both of them are elected at a time when there has been social unrest and there is a lot of investment and changes going on within the community. So they ran on a positive platform of unity and being a good neighbor. And so to talk about their campaigns, to talk about the next steps that they see for themselves, and to have a dialogue before they go and get some much needed rest, please welcome to the program Representative Ed Gainey and Dontae Comans.
How y'all doing today?
Great, welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Now, thank you so much for coming on, and both congratulations to both of you for your wins. We had the opportunity to spend some time together. Last Tuesday night, first at the Benham Center, and some folks later on over at Young Brothers. As it's not an election night. If you don't make it, we understand, Ed, why you didn't make it over. You know what I mean? You have details and logistics and stuff. You can't just pop in. Like you used to be able to do. We understand that. But my first question to both of you, starting with Ed and Dontae, what has this journey been like this year? I remember Ed, me and you, full transparency, sat down at a breakfast eatery in Garfield about this time last year, and you started to lay out your plans for what you wanted to do. Dontae, I know Ashley, I remember, when you started, making your plans as well. So just for our viewers, starting with Ed and then Dontae, just talk a little bit of what, the journey, of this year looks like to you, and just reflecting now that we've passed, this barrier, how are you feeling, and what are your thoughts as you get ready to take the helm in Pittsburgh and Wilkinsburg, respectively?
Yeah, well, one, I just want to thank Dontae. He ran a great campaign. And one thing I say about Dontae, and from the first time I met him, which we was at Douglas Apartments, he's always been family. He's always, the way he came up there at Douglas Apartments to represent his wife that couldn't make it that day. And I told him afterwards, I said, well, I don't see too many husbands that come out and represent their wife. And then, secondly, when you see Dontae, you see their kid. But I also know the stock that Dontae come from. So I guess, really, I'm not surprised. I didn't know the stock he came from when I first met him. But, just knowing who his mom is, and knowing the love that she poured into him, and understanding definitely the community that he comes from. I just want to congratulate him on all his success. That's first and foremost.
Thank you.
Kahari, man, you're more than welcome. You know that. Kahari and Miracle, I just want to say thank you. Miracle, and I told you this last year when we was doing the early voting, that you are everywhere. Like 80% of changing anything is to be present. That's number one. 20% is the execution, but 80% is you can't change nothing if you're not yourself present. Miracle, you be everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I thought I'd be everywhere. You get somebody to run for their money. And Kahari, K. Most, listen, man, it's been a journey, and I'm thankful for you. You know what I mean? For real. From day one at Cora. And just the advice you gave me throughout the whole campaign. I won't go into it, but you gave me a piece of advice that, I woke up with daily. And I even shared it with you personally, of what stayed in my mind that really gave me that spirit to go get it, because it was a real statement. And I'm glad that you really put that in me, because that's the type of spirit that I needed at the time. And just, in terms of this process, it's been a journey. Usually after May, it's over. What I told people, I knew that, I was going to have to run into a general election. I knew somebody would run, and I'm comfortable with that, because I didn't want them to give it to me. I wanted to earn it. The only way that you can really earn it is that you have the type of battles that prepares you. And so I'm happy about the battles I had to take on. And I'm glad that, it was in God's will to see me through. But, the number one thing I'm happy about is that, I look at all the things I learned in the campaign, not just the victory. The victory is the icing. I'm talking about the ingredients that made the victory, the things that you learn on your journey. To me, that's more important than anything, because that's what prepares you. So I'm excited about it. Am I tired? Oh yeah, I'm tired. We've been campaigning for about a year. This week is me and my wife's anniversary, November 11th. And so I know I got to get her out of Pittsburgh. I got to take her somewhere special. because I couldn't do it without my wife. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Like, she was the rock. You know, dealing with the different type of moods that you get in. She was just the rock. There's no other way that I can explain it. That I'm truly grateful for my wife.
Same question, Dontae.
Yeah, that was dope, man. I have to give a super shout out to you, Ed, for always being a positive big brother, honestly. And I want to give a quick rest in peace to my cousin Tim Hill. He passed on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My condolences, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That was he would wanted me to still do this, so I still did it. I'm not all right, but I'll be all right. And I know this is bigger than me, so I want to say that first. Rest in peace to him. Praying for his his wife, his kids, his mother, his brother, his sisters, all of us as cousins. Man, it's just it takes a family, and that's the one thing I led with this campaign, man. Leading with love and family. That's why if you saw anywhere, it'll be either me and my daughter, or me and my whole family, because that's who I do it for. I did it for that. Like when I knew our current mayor wasn't running again, and I felt like I would be the best person to represent us. So I had a good time. I had fun, just like me and Ed, we have the same background. We're different ages, but literally the same background. Mother, 15 years old, just out here, just living. And we made it. We could have been easily statistics, but we made it. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of him. And I'm just happy. We both ran positive campaigns. We both had mud slung at us left and right, but we kept our heads up high and or eyes straight and saw the eye of the prize. And I just appreciate all the people of Wilkesburg. Like you're saying with the voter turnout, it was a nice turnout, man. It's sad that all 15,000 people don't vote, but our super voters are about 1,200. This time we had about 26, almost 2,700 vote. So right there, I'll take that win each time. I'm gonna get out there and try to get people to register to vote, so we'll have more and more. But I'm just thankful to be here. I appreciate y'all for having me. And like he said, his wife, I couldn't do this without my wife. That was my campaign manager. I talked to first about this, her and Summer Lee, and they said do it. So I did it. Here we are.
Yeah, they were amazing, and I feel like we need to have just a whole show just talking about how brilliant your wives are. But both of you are, you started to run at a time when there was so much unrest happening within the nation and the city. So being that you are two Black men, there is a lot of pressure kind of on you to solve these issues, solve them now, and to be everything to everybody. So how are you going about navigating the pressures now that you are basically the mayor-elect? You're going to be sworn in. So come January, you're going to have this office. How are you dealing with the pressure? How are you going about reaching out to people to develop your policy for your next, your first 100 days? First Dontae and then Mr. Gainey.
Well, before it even that first day happened, I've been talking with a lot of people. I've been meeting with a lot of different organizations because I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. So I'm trying to uplift everything that's going on in the borough. So I've just been getting ready by just sitting there and talking to the people I need to talk to. I am sad that I didn't get a chance to sit down with Ralph Watson before he passed because he's a big figure. So rest in peace to him also. It's just about getting out here, just, connecting with everyone and stop these clicks. We got to get rid of these clicks in here and just get the work done, man. I'm here for the people. And so, like you said, in the first 100 days, I'm just getting ready by just speaking with these different organizations. That's with the kids. I'm still on school board, so I'm still attending those meetings and everything. And, still trying to get our kids back into our school to teach the value. So even as mayor, I'm still trying to get the value of our Wilkesburg school district because we're doing amazing things.
For me, you're absolutely right, Miracle. The expectation is large, but then again, I didn't expect it to be small, right? Going into it, we understood exactly what we were getting into. So, the things for me that I told my team is that, development, there's no microwave meals in development. Development takes 20 years to 25 years to mature. Our job is plant the seed of change to be able to change the course of directions that this region has been going in the past. That's why you heard me talk a lot about, public safety, making this the cleanest city in America. Cleaning up our vacant lots that our kids have to travel through. As a child, I know what that means to travel through lots where weeds is up to your hips, 40 bottles, wine bottles, blunt papers. I understand the perception, the image, and the stereotype that puts in a young child's mind. And I understand when that child gets to school, the difficulty it is for that child to learn because they've just come out of an environment of negativity. And so cleaning that up is important, but also dealing with police community relations. Making sure that the police get back to walking the beat, stop all this over policing in neighborhoods and make it more equitable throughout the city, demilitarizing our police force. Those things don't come overnight, but we can plant the seed of change where they begin to change. Diversifying these contracts so more minorities have an opportunity to bid on contracts. Creating a situation where we have powerful African American women in director roles so that we can change the image of Black women in the city. Those are things that we can do. Now, does that mean transformation? No, but it begins the beginning of transformation. Making sure that we have a public health plan to address the issues of violence that we have right now and how we create more peace than we do violence. How do we eliminate poverty? How do we eliminate drug and alcohol, gun violence, homelessness, and education? Is that something that you're going to get done in 8 years? No. But you can plant that seed of change that it begins to change the concept. It begins to change our society. Like I just came from up in the Hill District. Darrell Porter had his Ozenheim. Well, I played Ozenheim. I've been through them. And for me to go there and be able to talk to those kids and let them know how beautiful it is to be able to be at their age and have to deal with some of the adversity that you and I have talked about, Kahari, as kids, that they have to deal with, and they right now can't even comprehend why they feel the way that they feel. But sometimes that's up to us to reach back and say, listen, your adversity is beautiful because it's what's going to make you grow up, not just grow old. And to be able to have that conversation with them is powerful. And so for me, it's not about how you transform a city. Miracle, you're right. There's great expectation, but we have to pepper that expectation with realization of what we can get accomplished. And before, we're talking about an institution that's been at work since Pittsburgh was put in the inception. We have to be we have to be the seed of change, so that when these administrations come after us, they can water what we've done. But we have to change it, and some of that is going to be pulling the roots out in order to get the transformation that will be here in 20 to 30 years. And I'm confident we can do that.
Well, thank you for that. My next question is just talk about how you thinking about formulating your teams. Obviously, in your case, it's been, more public. So Dontae, you could talk in broader sense of how you're pulling the team together. But specifically, I was interviewed by John Delano for KDK, a couple of days ago about, the announcement of your colleague, Representative Wheatley, potentially, joining your administration. Can you just talk a little bit, about your, your relationship with Representative Wheatley? I sent him a text, after you won, the primary election, saying that, I thought him supporting you, was really one of the more monumental, I think, political endorsements in the last 25 years in the city. I think a lot of people thought, he was kind of crazy at the time, but, it turned out to be one of the most strategic, moves. And he really got behind you, unabashedly. A lot of times, you've been in politics for a long time. How, I got your back, but I got your back way back. Like I got you, but I don't really got you. But he really had you. He really, I think, was one of the folks that brought early, credibility to the campaign and helped get it moving. When y'all were out getting petitions and stuff on Brighton Road, on Center Avenue, and things like that. It really brought some energy. So you could talk a little bit, about pulling your team together. Specifically, your relationship with Representative Wheatley, and then the same question for Dontae as you pull your team together as well.
Yeah. So me and Jake got a relationship that goes back probably close to 25, 30 years, like you and I, Kahari, before we even got into politics. And, even during the course of that time, what makes that story so beautiful to me is that, me and Jake wasn't always on the same team. Me and Jake didn't always see eye to eye. Me and Jake had arguments. And then once I got elected and I got to the state, he became a mentor. he would be the one that would pep, hey, slow down a little bit, do it this way. You're going to have a better outcome. I know what you want to accomplish here. Go about it this way, and you'll have a better outcome. And in that, we created something called the Lonely Caucus. Well, they had it before me. It was the White Evans white representative, now Congressman Dwight Evans, Representative Wheatley, and then they allowed me to join the Lonely Caucus. And so the Lonely Caucus, I called it the Wisdom Caucus because all that was spoke about was solutions. It wasn't like we had to continue to address the problems because the problems never change. We just never talk about solutions. We get caught up on talking about problems. What that caucus taught me was how to be more solution focused, more than just talk about the problems. And so our bond became strong. And why he'll be an important role in the administration is that he already has state connections. He already has DC connections through Congressman Dwight Evans. He's known in Harrisburg. His relationship with the governor, his relationship with leadership, his relationship with Philadelphia. Those are things that you don't have to teach somebody coming in. They come with that. They come with that package on how to move RCAPs, on how to deal with the Common Finance Agency and other agencies and other agenda makers in Harrisburg, which is extremely important. The one thing I'll always say about Harrisburg, whether it was Kennedy, whether it was Mayor Kennedy or Mayor Nutter, they was in Harrisburg at least once or every other month talking about their agenda or having someone up there to speak about their agenda. That is important. I don't know nobody in state government, particularly from the West, who has that type of pedigree except for Jake Wheatley. That's a powerful, powerful addition because he brings wisdom that doesn't have to be taught, that is already there. He brings relationships that already exist. He brings state respect. So when you talk about Representative Wheatley coming aboard, it's a great addition because those are things that don't have to be taught because he already understands them. Bringing Jake Pollock on, another one that has worked in government. And there'll be some other, people that we're talking to that we plan on bringing on to really bolster our administration. I was serious when I told you we will have the most, not diverse just in title, but diverse in empowerment of people in positions that know how to make it happen. And we're looking forward to continue to bring that team together.
That's dope. I wanted to give a shout out to Jake Wheatley also because there's a lot of people screaming out, "Go Ed, go! We love you!" And before May, they was saying, "I don't think he can do it." And you have to appreciate the people that was out there with you.
Absolutely.
And people don't really take heed to that and see the landscape, and because you don't hear what people talk about behind their homes. But for him to come out and do that was major. That was so major, and I loved it because we power when we got our energies together. We literally could do anything in the world, and that's what I'm trying to do now, man. Only people on my team is my wife and my cousin. They're my consiglieres. Everyone else, my whole cabinet is the people at Wilkinsburg. I have about 15,000 people that I have to talk to and get our team together to be, because it's not like me versus the council. It's not me versus the school board. It's the people. Those are our bosses. That's my cabinet. And that's all I'm pushing for, man. So I'm here for it, man. This goes to my wife and the people.
Thank you for that. And staying with you, Dontae, because you said it's not you versus the council. We know after the murder of Romer Talley, there was a lot of tension between the council and the mayor's office. As someone who's coming in, how are you planning to engage the council so that you're able to work together? And how are you planning to engage the community that's still grieving and wanting answers about what happened with that situation?
So one thing about me, I'm not afraid to talk to anyone. A lot of these people don't know me. I mean, we speak and all that, but they don't know me, so they can't hate me. That's first and foremost. And you're going to make yourself dumb not speaking back to me. But in my mind, if you lean with love with these people and listen to them as much as you want them to listen to you, you can't go wrong. And my thing would be just to be transparent with the people, because like I was saying, we work for the people. That's who elect us. And I'm coming like for example, when like Diddy want to buy something, instead of he got billions, he can go buy it, but no, he go to the people and let them know what we want to go on. And once you got the people behind you, you can do anything because they're the people that elect these people. You know, people in our wards win by like 100 votes or less than that. Like my wife ran, she lost by 40, but there was like 6 people running. She lost by 40 votes. So to get the people going, you got to talk to the people. We got to get them out there and let them know that I'm not coming with anything selfish. Is not my thing. This is what the people want. And be transparent with these meetings. If you voted for this or voted against this, we need to know why. Or do you have anything to put on the table that's better? And if not, then we have to weed and see these people out, man. In 2 years, a year and a half, we got 3 council seats open. That can turn the tide to it. So, you know, we just need these like-minded people. But honestly, the only way that this is going to work is if I got the people behind me and I get in there and talk. I'm not afraid to talk to any of them. I pray for them all, have love for them all. So that's just the way I'm going with it, man. Lead with love and be transparent. So if they actually see, like, hey, he's trying, he's giving these things out, these ideas, and they're just shutting it down with nothing else. We as the people have to do something about it. Like we really, like Wilkesburg can't be Wilkesburg without its people. And I'm just so appreciative that, you know, almost 2,700 people came out and vote, which is a lot more than our super voters, but we're going to get that up. By the time I get out the office, I'm praying that we're going to have at least 5,000-6,000 people voting.
Thank you for that. And you know, as coming on to this, you know, lead the city, we do have a strong, you know, city, mayor, or council in Pittsburgh, and there have been some, you know, reported issues that there may, you know, be some disconnect between you and the council. How are you going to back to working, to engaging, to making sure that all of the legislation and promises that the city needs can happen? How are you navigating that right now?
Yeah, so we started by having community engagement meetings in council districts, where we allowed the council person to, you know, we not allowed, but we worked with the council person so that they can show us all the priorities in their district, so that they can understand. And I'm not coming there with no hidden agenda. I want to work with the council, and a lot of the council members right now I've been able to work with, and I look forward to working with them. It's about the bridges that we build, you know. And I take whatever they say seriously. I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to be able to help, you know, for them to provide for the priorities that they feel that are needed in their district. And you know, I'll be honest, a lot of, you know, they've been outstanding. Just, you know, having these community engagement meetings, being able to meet the people, being able to listen to them, learning so much about their district. That's what it's about, and that's how you begin to build relationships. Having conversations with them during this period of time to talk to them about anything that they want to talk about. You know, it's been good. It's been good, and we continue to work to build that. You know, my whole thing is about how many relationships can you build. That's what life is about, building relationships, and we're willing to work with everybody to build the relationships that's necessary for us to have a city for all, for us to have that one Pittsburgh, and that does begin with being council. And as of right now, the conversations have been great.
Thank you for that. My next question, you know, was about, you know, in the course of election night, you know, you get, you know, calls and texts. Can you share an interesting message you got from someone you didn't expect? We'll start with Ed and then Dontae.
You know, so two things, Kahari. One is if I'm being very transparent, I don't remember that much about Tuesday. You know, I don't. I just really followed orders, and I got to give a shout out to my team because they really put it together. And so, you know, to get a call from the governor, from Mayor Kinney, from the president. But I tell you, probably out of all of it was just that letter that was read from Kurt Smoke, because I don't know that he even understood the influence that he had on my life. Like, you know, me and you've had these conversations before, God. I didn't know what I was going to college for. It was just a natural step. And, you know, like I know Norfolk State, when I was at Norfolk, it didn't turn out well for me. So I have to come back, do 2 years of CCAC and go to Morgan State. And my first week at Morgan State, for them to be talking about doing sit-ins and protests and marches. I'm from Pittsburgh. We didn't do all that stuff. I didn't know nothing about it. And even have my professor ask me what I'm doing in class. You know, I told her that, you know, you teaching, right? She was like, your lesson is with these classmates. And so me meeting Mayor Kurt Smoke from afar, just, you know, saying that he would help us out and help keep Morgan State a, you know, HBCU and help us fight for the resources we needed to build up the school. And now to see where Morgan State is right now, I don't think that he had the understanding that he was the first elected official I ever met in my life. And that he really put me on the course of community and economic development that led into public policy, that led me running for state rep, that led me running for mayor. So when I heard my wife read that letter, I had to get myself together, you know, because here's a man that don't know me. You know, I'm just saying what he did for me from afar, because I had never seen an elected official fight like that, you know, fight to help us out. I had never met one. And it was beautiful to see. So I appreciate, you know, all the calls I got, whether it was the governor, the AG, the president, mayor of Philadelphia, you know, but you always remember where it started, Carl. And so for me to say I remember where I started, it would be that her reading that letter, my wife reading that letter from Mayor Kurt Smoke.
That's dope.
Dontae, same question.
Look, Norfolk State, I was down Norfolk State for one semester.
And they still love you.
Well, I don't know. I left it with like it's another story.
I can't talk about that. Man, the crazy thing about May and Tuesday, my phone died probably like 8:30. I even thought I lost it. I didn't have my phone back until probably Thursday. I thought I lost it. It was in my wife's coat pocket. And I don't talk on the phone, so I really wasn't pressed. Like I didn't care. But because, you know, I'm super low key, it's just I hang with my wife and Bellamy, my daughter. I hang with my cousin. I really, you know, I just keep it to the breast. So my favorite conversations I had that night was with Brother Melvin. Great guy, that was him, and my Gator coach growing up, man, Coach Bob Jones. You know, I just had some great conversation with some men.
You a Gator?
Oh yeah. You know what? My team won the first championship for the Gators. To keep it 100, you know, the play came through my hole because I was on the line. I was a little fat cuz. So the play came through my hole and we won the championship. That was the Gators' first championship, and they've been, you know, winning. You know, no matter what, I'm out here repping for the Wilkesburg, you know, helping them out. But you know, I'm still a Gator for life. And just those conversations that night, man. I talked to some great people at your party, and I just appreciate it. I just took it all in, took some chicken home, and I just kept it low key, man. The good thing about being a Wilkesburg low key, man, you don't get those crazy calls and everything, man. I got a letter the other day from Jay Costa. Shout out to him. So that was dope. But yeah, man, simple guy. My chicken was great though that night. For
now, he's simple for now. You know what I mean? I see nothing but growth right there.
Right, man. I'm going. This is what I want to do. This is the highest I want to go. So you know, I'm trying to perfect this, and you know, bring Wilkesburg to where it needs to be.
Yeah, and it seems like both of you have, you know, a really good, you know, working relationship. So I'm going to ask the question that everybody wants to know, starting with you. You know, I told you I was going to ask.
Yes.
There is this whole ongoing conversation about whether Wilkinsburg should merge with Pittsburgh. You know, there's pluses and cons on both sides. What is your position officially about the merger, and what would you like to see happen between advocates for both sides? I'll start with you, Dontae, then you, and then Ed, you can follow up.
Well, the one thing we have to stop calling it is a merger. A merger, you can get things done. A merger, you can, because I was at that meeting where you know, Derek Tillman said he would try to get 10 million put aside for Wilkinsburg. That can't happen. It's not a merger. It's an annexation. Literally, if this goes through and it's voted, we are Pittsburgh. We're transitioning school over to Pittsburgh. There's nothing that we can negotiate. Kari, you're in music. That's like signing a record deal and then try to get the terms afterwards.
Right.
And how many people were successful after that? Unless they had like 3 good albums. So it's like, my thing is, don't push it to the people how it's supposed to be pushed. I believe in facts, not feelings. To let people think that there will be some negotiations going on and we can get things out there, possible a council seat or some school board leverage or anything, because we are bringing the whole school district. I'm not cool with that. And also, I think about the kids too, man. I went to PPS. I loved it. I went to Carmel Elementary. I went to Leamington, then Carmel Elementary. Then I went to Sterrett. Then I went to Schilling. And so, I went through PPS, and just now being on Wilkinsburg School Board, I see the beautiful thing we're doing. We have our pre-Ks for free, and we'll take Pittsburgh kids. We built our old superintendent, Dr. Iverson. She built a foundation where we have our younger kids in one school and our older. So we have a nice system set up. And do we want to disrupt that? Yes, that our kids naturally go to Westinghouse, but they can go to Magnet. We hire 2 Spanish teachers in each school, so that way that they can get a chance to be in the Magnet program. I think this whole thing is rushed. I think, in my mind, that with this, I got to think about who will get paid first. So if this went through, it'll be developers. No matter what, they're going to get their money up front. Construction, they're going to get their money up front. Engineers who draw it up, they get their money up front. So no matter if these new businesses built in there do good or bad, they're already paid. They're long gone. The dust is settled. And we're still here looking at like half the street that's have a lot of businesses and the other half is empty. Those are just things they're going to think about. Like we just lowered our taxes for the second time in 5 years. So now we're lower than actual, like the whole Woodland Hills area, the Swissvilles, the Braddock, the Churchill, we're lower than Penn Hills. And that's where people go when they leave here, because they have been buying homes for cheaper. But now we're actually in a position where we can compete. It's time to give us a chance, They'd like to bring up that we partner with Pittsburgh already with our trash and the fire, but we pay for that. It's not free. PPS, we pay for that also. It's cheaper to do it that way than to do it another way. Right now, our school district is in the black, and we could be even better if we get our kids back from the charter schools. But the people that's higher up is putting a narrative out that we have no value. It's kind of like a business, how certain entities want to devalue something so they can get away with something cheaper, scot-free. But I feel like we do have a lot of value, man. I feel like it's time to get us a chance. And if because like a lot of people say, this will set precedents for any merger, any annexations. Think about somewhere like Houston or Cleveland, where they actively are taking everything around to make their city big. In a perfect world, the whole Allegheny County would be Pittsburgh. But that's a total other conversation. So we have to go into this situation smart and lead with facts, not feelings. And the way that they use that almost $300,000 to educate us and get this merger done, I don't see where that money went. When there's a whole bunch of pamphlets of calling us a merger, giving us feelings like, the URA can come in there and save our businesses. It's just not the truth, man. This is I want to say it's a developer's dream to get on that Penn Avenue. People have a lot of interest in there, no matter what, if they're a resident or not, they're a developer. So it would help them, especially if they're already doing business in the city and they already have access to that pipeline. It looks crazy. So the best thing I think they should have did is just lead with facts, not feelings. And, we had that one conversation. There should be about 7 more of those, because we have to actively get all of the people in there, because the first one would have been bigger, but them having it to be an Eventbrite, only 75 people, there were no council people there. I was a school board member there. Another one came later, but I feel like we all should have been in there. So I'm going back on the 18th, and my wife, she's been giving both sides. I mean, she's a pretty logical person, so she's looking at it like, we have to think about these babies before us, because they're our future and they're the voiceless. They can't vote. So we got to think about them. We got to think about balancing this transition. It lowers taxes for the homeowners, but it raises your income. So say if you work for Google and you own a home, yeah, your taxes on your home would go down to from $26.50 per 1,000 your home is worth, to transfer over to $30 from $10 to every $1,000 you make. And that's everyone in the house, not just from what your house is going. So that transfer of power would go from that 40% of owners to the 60% renters, but it still would include raising taxes on those 40% homeowners, no matter what they make. And the more they make, the more they're going to take out. So we can't just think that getting swept into the city would fix anything. We really just have to really get out there and just facts, not feelings, and just put everything out there. I think it's rushed.
So, me and Dontae had this conversation. He's an incoming mayor. I'm an incoming mayor. Wilkinsburg is his domain. And I told him that there's no way that I will go against what he wanted to do. I need a partnership with him.
Yes.
Now, situation where if he's not comfortable with it, then, the people that want that to happen in Wilkinsburg have to go see him. They have to have conversations with him. But I would not allow them to use me against him. That's not something that.
That's the last thing. We know his number, so
it's
already like this.
Yeah. So I already told him that. I told Dontae, and I say it again on the power hour, that I'm not going to do anything that could do anything to injure, damage, hurt, split, divide, nothing. That's their ability to talk to Mayor Comans and get his support. And if they can't, then there's no need to have a conversation until you have the support of Wilkinsburg. That's the mayor. He's the mayor. He's the mayor of Wilkinsburg. That conversation has to be had. And I've already told him. I haven't even called him on this issue because I already told him, man, where you at.
Several times.
You know what I mean? And I say it publicly here.
And I love the fact that you look me in my eyes and say, hey, dog, what you want to do?
What you going to do?
What you want to do?
Yeah, what you want to do?
What you want to do?
Because here's why. Here's why. So many times you want to build community, and me and him are both big in the community. We big believers and supporters of community, like Kahari and Miracle. And a lot of times you get an issue, and then this issue splits you, and you get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, what can we do to make something better? What conversations have to take place? And whatever conversation he leads that he asked me if I would be a part of, then yeah, I would, no question. But he's the mayor of Wilkinsburg, and that's his domain. And they before you deal with me or ask me, go see your mayor. Your mayor will have that conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it should be. And I'm only following that protocol because it's the only way you can bring peace. I can't talk about creating community and eliminating violence and having division and not having discussion. And the discussion doesn't start in the city. The discussion starts in Wilkinsburg. Yes. And that's the mayor.
Thank you.
No, thanks for that. My next question is about law enforcement. There's been two recent, articles, one about the city of Pittsburgh, one about Wilkinsburg. We'll start with Ed around, a police lieutenant, apparently has some ties to some extremist groups, and you made some statements about that, and Dontae, there was a story about, a FBI registry of police use of force cases in Pennsylvania lagging behind and reporting, and obviously the tragedy where Mir Talley, was not, part of that registry. So, first, Ed, what do you have to say, about the ties to the extremist group? And then Dontae, as Wilkinsburg mayor, what do you plan to do to ensure that incidents like that, from Wilkinsburg do get, reported to these federal registries that track them? So starting with Ed first.
Yeah, OMI is doing an investigation. I'll leave that right there. Here's how now that I put that fact out there that they're handling that investigation. It's a public safety issue, Kahari. It's a public safety issues on 2 points. Let me start with law enforcement. Let me move to the community. If you're African American, if you're Latino, if you're LGBTQIA, you're going to feel a certain way about an officer that not only has joined a supremacy group, but also wants to recruit others to join it. You don't feel safe on your job. You don't feel that officer will ever have your back because that officer hates you because of the color of your skin, gender identity. You know, that's not safety. If we're going to restore the fabric of police community relations, it has to be built on safety. And being built on safety means that the people that you work with have to feel safe. Now let me move to the community. There's no way that the community would feel safe with that officer arresting them, pulling up on side beside them, or being in that officer's presence. You can't feel safe. We shouldn't tolerate any type of discrimination, hatred, or racism, period. It can't be tolerated. And I'm going to leave it right there.
Mm. Yeah, I feel the same way. Especially that first of all, with that too, man. Rest in peace to Romer Talley. Prayers to his family and friends. Prayers to everyone that love him, man, because that was such a I almost cussed. That's almost an effed up situation, because from the outside looking in, for someone that say elected, the way that it looked when it first happened wasn't the truth. And I feel like some digging of the truth should always happen. It should never just be cut and dry like, well, they said it's the right person. It's no. You have to take a look at everything delicately. And you have to be transparent. Like, look, this officer did this. And if you're innocent, you shouldn't care if your name's out there. That's my thing. And I think the blame went on one person when council people was on that email also. They knew that. So I think people was getting pulled up on and things were happening. And if we should just been transparent from the start, especially if no matter what you do, the officer's going to sue the borough anyway. I feel like the safety of our communities even further. I've heard and shout out to social media, because without social media, we would not know that he is an EMT worker now. And the person he was trying to help them, and they're like, nah, dog, I know who you are. You did such and such and such. So no matter what you do, good or bad, I think it should be on a registry. And if you're innocent, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to worry about it. If I was an officer and I did something and it was about a book, I would cooperate. I would say, you know what? I'll go sit down for a minute. It's for the betterment of us, because there's no cop without no police without community. And like Ed was saying earlier, the problem is that they're just not in the community. They're not rolling beats. They're not having games like they used to have basketball, pickup games like the cops versus. We could have like the cop versus council, the Pittsburgh cop versus Wilkinsburg cop basketball, softball, kickball game. We have to bring the neighbors back in neighborhood. We got to bring unity and community, as Ed like to say. And until that happens, until we get these police officers to stop feeling like they're Billy badasses and are above everyone, and to let them know they're humans like everyone else, we won't get anywhere. And we'll still keep getting these police officers who don't want to, mingle with anyone. And there's no reason why they should be scared of the neighborhood more than neighborhoods feeling safe with them. That's just how I feel about that.
Yeah, and kind of sticking onto this conversation, we know that there are a lot of beliefs that people have when it comes to addressing community violence, addressing gun violence. And we know that is going to cause protests and engagement. Not everyone is going to like the policies that you put forth, and there's going to be disagreements. How are both of you preparing to deal with people who disagree with your viewpoints, whether they're trying to make you more conservative, more progressive? And how are you working to make sure that you always have an open door policy, or people feel comfortable in expressing their ideas? First to you, Ed, and then you, Dontae.
Yeah, so, for me, Miracle, that's a great question. I think it's two ways. One is that, and I've always had this, I love working with groups. I love working with advocacy groups and organizations. I think the part part of it is being transparent and understanding that, wisdom is universal, and I don't have all the answers, but I'm always willing to search for solutions to create a better way. I mean, that's number one. I'm never going to stop working with the advocacy groups that I believe have a firm commitment to seeing good police community relations. I never shied away from that. I'm not going to do it now. If anything, I'm empowered because I believe that those groups are the ones that have studied it and have made it their ministry to a point that they can help us build a better police community relation. I have no doubt about that. Secondly is that you got to stick to your truth. You got to stick to what you believe in. Miracle, I don't hate cops. I hate cops that hate people because they feel that they're different than them, or they feel that they have more power than them, or they feel that there are a certain segment of the population that they can treat any type of way. Those cops I got problems with. And I will always have problems with those type of cops because they're not peace officers. They're not trying to bring peace to the street. They're not trying to build a healthy police community relations where we're all getting along. To the best that we can. My truth is that I want to see a good police community relations. There's no reason we don't have cops walking the beat like they should throughout this city, getting to know the neighbors. When I was a kid, they would knock on my grandmama's door. Hey, Miss Gainey, how you doing today? How's everything? That's a police officer to me. You know what I mean? They didn't see her by color. They seen that, hey, we wanted to keep the streets safe. And doing that, I know Miss Gainey is big over here and on Lawn Street. She does a lot. I'm gonna knock on that door, see how she's doing. Over policing in neighborhoods. You know what I mean? As I told them on the radio, show me where it works and I'll show you I'm wrong. But if you can't show me where it works, then tell me I'm right and that we need to have equity across the city. I believe in that. That's my truth because I haven't seen it. You can tell me about all the calls that came through 911. That has nothing to do with over policing in neighborhoods. It has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all. We don't need that. Military style weapon. Who are we at war with? The war on drugs created us versus them. Promotions based on how many arrests you make. That's wrong. That doesn't build trust, it builds distrust. So at the end of the day, it's about how you stand on your truth. But let me be clear, I know some good cops out here. I know some good police officers. In Wilkinsburg, you got one right there.
Officer Coffee.
Officer Coffee, boom.
He's the man.
Officer Coffee.
She's a gem.
Officer McClain. I mean, I can keep going down a list that's out here every day trying to make it better. But it's to those officers that don't feel that they need it. Not understanding that to build a strong relationship, we need each other. And that's the way I'll govern.
We definitely need each other. I feel you 100%. Like, if we don't look at this as a family and we need each other, we're going to fail. No matter what, that's as Wilkinsburg, or if we're the city of Pittsburgh, or if Penn Hills took us or something like that. No matter what, if the people don't trust the cops, there's no way. Like you said, Officer Coffee, he's a gem, man. Shout out to him, man, because he's in there. He's in the streets. He's with the social work team, and they're handling things. There's so many situations that would have been handled better if there was a social worker sent. I'm going to ask you again, what was that question? But I just want to say that first before I ask you what that question again.
Yeah. How are you basically preparing and planning to engage with your detractors, people who have a different political viewpoint or expression? You're talking about building police community relationships. There are people who are abolitionists. There are people who are for law and order. So how are you planning to deal with all these varying groups of people so that they feel comfortable coming to you with their ideas and collaborating and working with you in the future?
The best thing I can think of is just talking to them. Like, people, the messed up thing with our social media may happen is people with different opinions feel like you're beefing. Like Derek Tillman's the chair for this annexation and everything. And me, him, and my wife can have the best conversation. There's no beef. I pray for that man. I love that man. Like, there's no way, there's no one can make me hate them just because someone has a different opinion. That's what's wrong with society. People have a different opinion and they just cut it off and stop talking. I'm going to talk to people until my face turn blue. Like, there's no way you can deny someone that's being genuine. People that I know turned their nose up against me. Now I just talk to them. They're realizing like, dang, I had a beef with this person because of their affiliation, who they were cool with. I would never deny who my friends are or who I'm friends with, even if they don't mess with me no more. Like, this whole race, I've been put into a drawer, basically saying that I'm this person, I'm someone's puppet or anything. But in reality, it's like I go run and I talk to the community. There's no way that you can say anything about me and not say it to my face because I'm there. I'm not trying to run a community. I'm trying to be a part of the community. So my main thing is, if you love me or hate me, you got to see me. We got to talk. It's not going to be beef. We can go to Salvatore's and go have a drink. And that's a problem too. We need like 2 more bars in Wilkinsburg. Why don't Wilkinsburg have a dispensary? Like, all these forms of income that could be coming in, we don't have, and we need it. And we need to talk to our council and everyone else to get it happen, man. And I feel like leading with love, you can't hate on that. You can't hate this because we're on different sides. But the only way we're on different sides is because of what you're thinking. It's not because I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're all the same. We're all black. We're all, even if you're white, we're all in Wilkinsburg. You can't talk about me because I wasn't born here. Many people that saying it, that say I wasn't born here, moved here in the 90s, and they was born in the 60s. So why can you come and start your family here and I can't, without getting talked about because my grandma and them didn't live in Wilkinsburg when she was a kid or anything? Like, I chose Wilkinsburg. I got saved at Deliverance Baptist Church in Wilkinsburg when I was in high school, way before I moved here. So I'm leading with love, and God got my back. God got Ed's back. God got One Hood's back, and we here. And so I feel like, no matter what, when you talk to people and you meet them where they're at, I'll come talk to you in your ward. We don't got to meet at the council. We can talk anywhere. Like, so far, I've already linked with Linda Atkins. We had a cleanup together. We clean, and that's the one way we can do it. Just meet people where they're at, and they'll understand you fully, and they'll understand what you're trying to say. And if you just don't combat them and shoot them in their knee when you could just give them a hug, you can get a lot further than you think.
One of the things when I first got elected at the state level, someone told me, they said, extremism never built anything, but it destroyed a lot.
Yes.
And so, I always remember that always going to have people that it's either my way or the highway. But when you get into relationships, what you understand is that there's no relationship that can be built with that mentality. The only thing you can do is, end up destroying something that you can really build up in love. And so for me, relationships are so important. And so the ability to have that conversation and find some middle ground is always critical to development if you're going to build anything. But I think it's a decision if you want to be a master builder or not. And what I've seen throughout history, you name the great leaders were always master builders. They've always built things up. And so I'm not sure what extremism ever built. I know what it destroyed. I just don't know what it built. Right. And so for me, it's all about who wants to build something that is everlasting for the next generation.
Thank you for that. I have a quick question before turning it over to Miracle for the final question of tonight. Just along with the theme of law enforcement, there was some breaking news this evening. Councilman Burgess in the city of Pittsburgh, and this is a question that's also relevant for you, Dontae, that there's a new proposal. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, that would prevent Pittsburgh police from pulling drivers over for a minor secondary violations like headlights out, brake lights, improper placement of license plate or temporary tags. that kind of thing. Just quickly, are you in favor of something like that? And then Dontae, is that something that you might want to look into, with the council in Wilkinsburg as well? Starting with Ed, then Dontae.
Oh yeah, well, Carl, I talked about that during the campaign. I was laser focused on that, and I brought it up in many debates that the traffic stops were in a situation where it was causing too much problems. So I've been discussing that for a minute. Now I have not seen the legislation or read it to be able to talk about the details of it, but the concept I'm for. But for me to be transparent, I have to admit I have not read that legislation, particularly if it just came out tonight. And so I would not comment on anything without reading it and having an understanding of exactly what's in it. But from a conceptual standpoint, I agree.
I have to say the same thing too, because we all know most of our nation's police murders were for minor traffic stops. Like, I shouldn't get pulled over because I got a rear light out and get shot when I'm telling you I have a licensed gun in the car. You ask me to get my ID. Like, that should never be the thing. So like you said, I didn't read it, so I can't comment on that. But as a thought for that, and the beautiful thing for us to be a borough right now, it would be a little easier for us to get things like that cracking and moving on, because we're only 15,000 opposed to over 300,000. And right now we're only having about 2,700 people voting. So different ordinances like that. So that's what we have to do, ordinances and everything. We could move something like that. And I'm big on that. As long as it's done right, and we just send them a ticket, but that would have to go with everything. There have to be cameras on every car, because you can't just send someone a ticket without proving it. But if your camera caught someone doing something illegal like that, you can send them a ticket. Other than that, you would have to just keep it to yourself and move on. But something like that would be great, because like we know, most of these murders that happen by police are minor traffic stops. They're never chasing down a bank robber and kill them. It's someone they pulled up on the gas station and they feel or doing something unlawful, and they, like the guy, he went to they asked him to get his ID, when the car, they shot him. Like, it's, these are certain things that has to change. And if, they got cameras on our car and they catch it, send them a ticket. That way the borough gets their money still. And, you still know what you're missing. You got to send them the video too. You don't just tell them like, hey, this is what happened, because people want proof. And if you don't have that, you can't change nothing like that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm just going to do kind of like a quick speed round. Because I know you got ready to go. One of the things we know that Pittsburgh Black women, what 3 things, first 100 days, what 3 things are you going to try to do to address the state of Black women in Pittsburgh and in Wilkinsburg? First you, Ed, then you, Dontae.
You'll see that we'll have Black women in director positions. You'll be in the communications department. They'll be throughout, but I'm just saying everybody will focus on the communications department, whether that's assistant director or what have you. And then thirdly, that you'll see them throughout city government and also in our quasi governments.
Dontae.
And as far as me, I would just highlight more Black businesses, Black women business, because that's one of the number one start of new business in Wilkinsburg. We have a lot of business coming. They're Black women, and just highlight them and just try to get them what they need to get, and just help them out with that, because we do have to push up our Black women, because they are the nucleus. And they can, help a lot of things, man. So I truly believe in uplifting what we have. Like, of course, Ed has a cabinet and everything. He could do that. I'm just trying to just raise up our businesses and get these Black women noticed, because we do have a lot of Black women businesses, and we have a lot of Black women entrepreneurs. So, another thing I want to push is, like the Oldie Celebrity. Hey, you remember Oldie Celebrity? All the vendors. Why can't we have vending every week? We have a lot of entrepreneurs that are women, and they have great things that they want to sell. We can utilize our downtown because we have to get more people to come down to our downtown. And that's one thing I'm going to push, man. We have to bet on Black women.
Last question. Prior, the executive orders have been very popular within the city, whether it's putting out test strips or helping people get various protective measures. Do you plan to still use executive orders and powers to enact legislation such as decriminalization of sex work, making sure that people aren't arrested for marijuana when it's in the purview of your powers?
Yes, we will use executive. We will definitely use executive orders on things that we feel that will create a better city and make the city more safe. So where need be, we will use executive orders.
Dontae.
And the same thing, we'd have to do something a little different, like ordinances and everything. It would still have to, go through our people and everything. But as far as like decriminalization, like I said before, we need a lot of great things in Wilkesburg. We need to think about getting more money from other ways than the people. Like if we had a dispensary up there on Douglas Street, there's no homes over there. Wherever the Penny Saver used to be, that would be amazing. That's revenue coming in. We need at least 2 bars. We can have an alumni bar called, I think, the Tagger. We can have a lounge where the younger people to go. We can have a hookah spot. We just need to show everyone to be proud of Wilkesburg, how we're proud of Wilkesburg. And we have to be creative and think about other ways to bring money to this borough. And that's a natural way to get our taxes lower, because no one's lowering taxes. We lowered taxes for the second time in 5 years in Wilkesburg on the school district. We were higher than Penn Hills. Now we're lower than Penn Hills in our whole Woodland Hills area. So it's like all about give us a try. And we're subject to the redlining. So you can buy a home for $40,000, $50,000. And it's a little, just need a little elbow grease. So you don't have to go to Penn Hills and spend $160,000. You get a 6-bedroom Victorian that you just need a little work on for like $70,000 here, because our middle Wilkesburg is valued so low. That's the reason why we have so high taxes, because the homes in Black Ridge and Regent Square are valued so high because they're so prestigious. But what I call the heart of Wilkesburg suffers from that. My wife's grandma, she has a 3-bedroom, furnished attic, basement furnished, big backyard, carport, deck. It's only worth $27,000 because it's under redlining on Monteer Street. And they look at Monteer Street like these are where the poor people are at. So now we're going to value. If that home was in Black Ridge or Regent Square, it would easily be almost $200,000. So those are the things that we have to look at and just to get on track.
All right. Well, we thank you for that. Hopefully, Penn Hills and you will not be beefing,
Never that, because we're open. I mean, there are more white people, so I don't know how to, maneuver through that. But
the people in the chat are saying, there's maybe Wilkinsburg has some more restaurants. Not everybody wants a bar, but there's other things coming in. So I want to thank you both, for
Miracle and Kahari, can I thank y'all?
Yes, thank y'all.
One thing that we didn't talk about that I want to say is that, sometimes, and we just discussed it before we came on, I'm really appreciative of you. The increase in the African American vote, that's something that we should celebrate. And that's because organizations like Unite, APA, One PA, One Hood, and others, BPAT, that have been working for decades to really plant that seed of getting the African American community to come out and vote. And we don't talk about it. We only talk about it when we don't come out and vote, and the apathy affiliated in our community. And I just want to say thank you, because of groups like you, 20% turnout in a general election from the community. I mean, that's something that we should be talking about, particularly to our children, about why voting is so important and why those organizations and others have made a tremendous difference in getting people to vote.
Yes, I want to second that too. And I want to answer one of the questions that you said about the no bar. We have a lot of people in Wilkesburg that drink. We spend our money outside of Wilkesburg. It's about keeping our money in Wilkesburg. And that's the most important thing. You have to put it where it's on Wood Street or Penn Ave. It's not around any homes. And it's second, because we have a downtown just like Pittsburgh. We have a Wood Street and a Fifth Avenue just like Pittsburgh. And those are the best place to do it. I'm not trying to say put one on Montier or put one on Boggs, but in the business district, we have to make it a business. Like, I grew up in East Liberty and I love it, but it's sad that, where David said that shit's empty and the other side is full of like wormy parks and all that. So we got to just get our downtown even.
Gotcha. Well, I will say people do want late night food places to eat. So that's
yes.
So I'm trying to let y'all go because Ed's got to go do his anniversary.
Yeah,
happy anniversary. Dave's about to start rolling for kickoff.
Thank you.
A couple minutes from
Thanks
kickoff.
so much, y'all. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And apparently there's a football game happening. I guess that's a big thing for people to look at. My Braves won in Atlanta, so
but you saw them out for the sport during the celebration.
I'm not even into sports like that. But yeah, so I want to thank you again. Like Ed said, his anniversary is this week, so he may not be responsive. So please allow him to rest. You see, his voice is almost gone. Please give him grace, y'all, this week. Let him rest. He'll be back to events and emails next week. Same with Dontae. They've been running a campaign this whole entire time. They're not yet sworn in, for this next phase in their life, so give them some grace and support. But reach out to them if there's an issue they haven't talked about, we didn't talk about. If there is, you want to get a better stance, they're both very open. Please reach out to them. So appointments with their staff is like amazing people. They're very I literally was like DM hey, can y'all come through? So they're there. So just we're talking about making a change and building the cities, and the boroughs that we want to see. It starts the communication. The work is there. We have to work. We have to put in the work, hold people accountable, engage, and we still have to give people opportunities to make changes and to show up as we need them. So please engage, reach out to both of these amazing people because their heart is, they're in it. The heart's in it for the right place, and they're trying to make really good work for their communities. And again, my condolences to you, Dontae, for the loss of your loved one. And I know, Ed, you're still grieving, the loss of your family members that you lost this past year. So thank you both for giving us perseverance and working through a bunch of harmful and violent, things and still showing up for the community. Thank you. Because y'all didn't have to. So just thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate y'all for real.
All right.
Thank you for joining us. The best of luck.
And talk to y'all soon.
For sure. Y'all have a good night and have a safe trip, Ed.
I'm gonna close out. I know kickoff is about to happen, so I'm gonna go ahead and let Kahari go. And I'm enjoyed. See, Kahari, I'm trying to let you go.
I just want to thank Pittsburgh Mayor-elect Ed Gainey and Wilkinsburg Mayor-elect Dontae Comans for joining us tonight for a very informative conversation. And as we kind of close out, our election coverage starting in mid-September with the 4 Democratic candidates for the statewide appellate court. And it appears that Lori Dumas may have edged out a very narrow victory. So we will have some more on that next Monday. But yeah, thanks so much for closing us out, Miracle. Again, thank you, Mayor-elect Gainey. Thank you, Mayor-elect Comans. And I'm going to go check out the Steeler game while Miracle closes us out for another episode of the One Her Power Hour.
Yes. And so we had the men tonight. Next week, there were also a lot of women who made history being elected across Pennsylvania and this region. So we're bringing some of the women mayors on to come and talk about their experiences, their fights for the future, and the work that they hope to accomplish. So please tune in next Monday at 7 p.m. We have some really cool surprises for you. If you want to learn more about what's going on with Pittsburgh and Wilkinsburg, on November 18th, our CEO, one of our CEO founders, the City Act, is moderating a conversation. Again, the Eventbrite link is in the chat. So please feel free to go back and look at the chat and register. It's going to be live streamed and engaging. We have a lot of shows and programming coming up, and so we do ask that you continue to support, the One Hood Power with a financial donation and contribution. Via our Act Blue link, you can give as little as $1 a month or even more. We are a 501c4 organization, and we're able to bring you these type of conversations due to sponsors and donors like yourself. And lastly, we know that it's getting colder outside. Winter is coming. Should have put your clocks back, but please reach out, to your local health department, as well as, some of the local agencies such as, I apologize, such as, Unite and other organizations. If you're going to need help with, your utilities as it gets colder, we want to make sure people are housed, people are staying in their homes, and they have warm places to be. So please reach out if you're in need of any support and assistance. We have a lot of programming coming up for you. Check us out on Wednesday of This Week in White Supremacy, on Thursday for On Tilt. And until next Monday, have a good day. Please stay safe and stay warm. Thank you so much for tuning in. Miracle Jones for the One Head Power Hour. Hope you have a good night. Thank you.
You made this city that we love believers, and I couldn't do it without you.